June 17, 1775. The air over Charlestown, Massachusetts, is thick with gunpowder smoke. British redcoats climb Breed's Hill in perfect formation, only to be cut down in waves of withering fire. The colonials hold their line, waiting, until they can see the whites of the enemy's eyes. This is the Battle of Bunker Hill, a fight so bloody it shocked the British Empire and proved that ordinary American farmers and tradesmen could stand toe-to-toe with the world's most powerful army. But it wasn't fought on Bunker Hill at all, and the victory came at a terrible price. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most misunderstood battles of the American Revolution. Just 2 months earlier, the first shots of the Revolution rang out at Lexington and Concord. The British retreated into Boston, and 15,000 New England militiamen surrounded the city in what became the Siege of Boston. British General Thomas Gage and his officers, including the newly arrived Major General William Howe, were under pressure. They controlled the harbor and could be resupplied by sea, but the surrounding hills threatened their position. On June 13th, colonial leaders learned the British planned to seize the high ground around Boston to break the siege. The Patriots struck first. On the night of June 16th, under cover of darkness, about 1,200 colonial troops marched quietly onto the Charlestown Peninsula. Their orders were to fortify Bunker Hill, the tallest point. But Colonel William Prescott, a veteran of the French and Indian War, chose the lower but more strategically threatening Breed's Hill instead, directly overlooking Boston. Working through the night with Colonel Richard Gridley's engineers, the men built a square earthen redoubt about 160 feet per side. To the north, Colonel John Stark's New Hampshire men extended a stone and rail fence down to the Mystic River. By dawn on June 17th, the British woke up to a shocking sight, an American fort staring them in the face. Gage immediately ordered a response. General William Howe would lead roughly 2,200 to 3,500 British regulars across the Charles River in longboats. Naval warships began a thunderous cannonade on Charlestown itself, setting the town ablaze as civilians fled. Around noon, Howe's force landed and formed up. The Americans, now reinforced to about 2,400 total, though only around 1,200 were actively engaged on Breed's Hill, waited behind their earthworks. They were commanded by Prescott, General Israel Putnam, and the fiery Patriot leader Dr. Joseph Warren, who had just been commissioned a major general but chose to fight as a volunteer private. The British advanced in 2 columns, one against the redoubt, the other against the fence line. The colonials had been told to conserve precious ammunition. Legend says Prescott, or possibly Putnam, gave the immortal order, "Men, you are all marksmen. Don't one of you fire until you see the whites of their eyes. Then fire low." The redcoats marched up the steep slope in bright red coats, heavy packs, and wool uniforms on a hot June day. When they were just 30 to 50 yards away, the Americans unleashed a devastating volley. The first British charge collapsed in chaos. Officers fell in droves. The second assault met the same fate. Another withering blast of musket fire tore through their ranks. Howe later wrote that the scene was horrific. British casualties mounted rapidly. But on the third charge, the Americans had almost run out of gunpowder. Many were down to their last few shots. As the British fixed bayonets and charged one final time, the colonials fired their last rounds, then fought hand-to-hand or retreated across Charlestown Neck. Joseph Warren was killed in the retreat, shot in the head while trying to rally his men. The British took the hill, but at an enormous cost. British casualties totaled 1,054, 226 killed and 828 wounded. That's nearly half their attacking force, including a shocking number of officers. The Americans suffered about 450 casualties, roughly 140 killed, 305 wounded, and 30 captured. The British had won the ground, but it was a Pyrrhic victory. One British officer wrote that they had expected to fight a mob, not troops that would look them in the face. General Howe was deeply shaken and would later be far more cautious in future battles. The fighting ended around 5 p.m. Charlestown lay in ruins. The British held the peninsula, but the Americans had retreated in good order and lived to fight another day. The Battle of Bunker Hill, fought mostly on Breed's Hill, happened before General George Washington even arrived to take command of the Continental Army on July 3rd. Yet it sent a powerful message across the Atlantic. This was no minor rebellion. It boosted colonial morale enormously. It showed the world that citizen soldiers could inflict devastating losses on professional troops. And it taught the British that they would need far more than bayonets and discipline to win this war. Today, the Bunker Hill Monument stands tall in Charlestown, a granite obelisk honoring the courage of those 1,200 patriots. The battle remains a symbol of sacrifice and defiance that helped forge a nation. As the smoke cleared that June day in 1775, the American Revolution had truly begun. Thanks for joining us on this journey back to the Battle of Bunker Hill. Please like this video, and we would be honored to have you subscribe to our channel, U.S. History Unveiled. Join us as videos are added regularly as we build a timeline of U.S. history. See you next time.